Hey guys, Horror Lorekeeper here. Today we're doing the most dangerous thing you can do in this fandom. We're planting a flag and saying there's only one correct way to explain FNAF lore. And it isn't by starting with the games, it's by starting with the books. We're going to lay out why the book continuity is the decoding key that makes the messy, retconned, glitchy game timeline snap into focus. We'll break it down exactly like our usual character to creature explainers, what this book first approach looks like, how it behaves when you actually use it, how the story reads when we walk through the novels and tie them to the games, and then the big theories, plus an alternative view on why this method works. So sit back, relax, and let's dive back into the world of FNAF. First context, where does this topic live in the FNAF universe? Right at the crossroads of the Silver Eyes trilogy, Fazbear Frights, Tales from the Pizzaplex, and the Security Logbook on one side, and the mainline games from FNAF 1 through Sister Location, Pizzeria Simulator, and Security Breach Ruin on the other. Think of it like two mirror halls in the same building. The game hall is loud, strobing, and full of jump scares and puzzles. The book hall is quieter, lit by desk lamps, with margin notes and epilogues stacked like clues. If we had to place it physically, the book lore corner is a back room in a small town library that smells like paper dust and machine oil, a table strewn with paperbacks, dog-eared pages, and a corkboard mapping Afton, Remnant, Agony, Illusion Tech. Same haunted pizzerias, same inevitable basements, but the books are where the schematics are kept. Before anything else, let's see what the book canon looks like. We can see the twisted animatronics from the novels, inflated and rounded on the outside, mangled and nightmarish underneath, faces that seem friendly until the skin ripples and the ringed jaws unfurl with too many teeth. We notice illusion discs humming on their bodies, little flat devices that make horror look harmless, expressionless but unsettling because our eyes are being lied to. In Fazbear Frights, we tore stories where animatronics are lanky and humanoid one page, then burrowing and animalistic the next, and by the epilogues we're following stitched together endoskeletons that shouldn't have consciousness but somehow do. In Tales, we meet high-polished tech, daycare bots, therapy AIs, corporate black box projects, all glossy and modern, but with hairline fractures of malice running through the design. The book look is clinical notes pinned to carnival posters. Bright, then wrong. Function behavior. When do we encounter the book first method and what triggers it? You hit it the moment the game timeline stops being linear. When retcons or DLCs rewrite motives and mechanics. That's the trigger, or ambiguity overload. The books then do three very specific things. Define mechanics plainly. The novels explain Remnant as a transferable, heat-reactive substance tied to soul attachment. Agony as weaponized suffering that can bind to objects. Illusions as tech-mediated perception hacks. The game's gesture, the books instruct. Isolate archetypes. In the books, William is the experimenter. Henry is the builder who regrets. Charlie, the puppet, is the protector. The kids' spirits are the motive force. The games remix these roles across mini-games and cutscenes. The books freeze them long enough to study, provide controlled variants. Silver Eyes is one continuity. Frights gives what-if laboratories. Tales updates the lab to modern corporate horror. Basic, mid, late game. Each phase stresses the same ideas under new conditions to show what breaks and what doesn't. Threat profile, the book canon threatens confusion the same way an animatronic threatens a guard. It moves across rooms you can't monitor unless you're reading the epilogues and author's notes. Miss a page, and suddenly the theory you loved is in the vent behind you. And yes, there are variants of the method. Phase 1. Basic, the Silver Eyes trilogy. Afton, Henry, Charlie Triangle, Twisted Tech, Remnant baseline. Phase 2, Mid, Fazbear Frights. Anthologies that pull single mechanics into sharp relief, possession via agony, object binding, identity bleed, plus the Stitch Wraith epilogues to stitch, the themes together. Phase 3, Late, Tales from the Pizzaplex, corporate scale experiments, AI behavioral training, mascot brands hiding black site projects. Each phase pushes the same rules harder. Lore connection time. If you take the book seriously, you get a consistent skeleton under the games. Afton's why. In the novels, he's a narcissistic experimenter harvesting Remnant to mock mortality. The games show this as endless returns. Spring. Trap, Scrap Trap Beyond. The books tell you what he thinks he's doing and why heat, fire matter. Kid spirits as engine. The games imply kids possess suits. The books underline that attachment, pain, and grief have physics. Agony sticks, remnant conducts. Suddenly, FNAF 3's Free the Kids minigames read like applied metaphysics, not just Easter eggs. Illusion versus reality. The book's illusion discs cleanly explain toy designs looking harmless while being death traps. The game's cute but lethal design language becomes an in-universe AR psych weapon, not just art direction. Corporate repetition, Tales boardroom horror mirrors, security breaches mall, bright brand-safe surfaces over maintenance rooms that should not exist. The books show you the policy logic that would keep reopening Freddy's no matter the bodies. Now let's do a walkthrough, chronological like a playthrough of the reading order, and watch how each stage decodes a chunk of the games. Setup: the Silver Eyes, the Twisted Ones, the Fourth Closet. We start in Hurricane, Utah, a small town with a closed Freddy's and a group of kids grown up into grief. We can see the wood-paneled stage, the disused back room, the parking lot where the wind is wrong. Here, the novel set the archetypes. William as partner turned predator, Henry as maker, Charlie as guardian. Mechanically, they plant remnant and illusion tech up front, why some endos are stronger than others, why faces look fine until they aren't. Take that to the games, and suddenly Sister Location's underground lab makes immediate sense. The facility is just the book lab with a corporate budget. And Baby Funtime Suites are the twisted concept iterated for rentals, investigation, Fazbear Frights with epilogues, anthology mode. Each story is a petri dish, agony animates objects, guilt binds, identity slips under stress. We notice recurring rules, suffering leaves residue, found items inherit intent, and people get pulled into the Fazbear loop not because of destiny, but because of choices and lies. The Stitch Wraith epilogues operate like a meta-animatronic, a walking case study in distributed soul tech phenomena. Bring that back to the games and Pizzeria Simulator's Gather and Burn finale stops being a vibe and becomes a protocol. Free neutralize remnant concentrations, eliminate hardware that can host it, apply heat. Rising danger, Tales from the Pizzaplex. Now we're in neon territory. Mall scale surveillance, child-facing apps, therapy bots, and buried projects. The stories take book mechanics and plug them into the security breach aesthetic, illusions, and AI training wrapped in corporate PR. We can see a floor that glitters and a basement that hums. Parts and service has never looked so OSHA compliant and felt so sacrificial. By the time you revisit the game's Roxy Raceway or Daycare, the book lens makes you ask, what experiment was this hallway for? Final confrontation, everything burns but the rules remain. When Henry delivers his Pizzeria Simulator speech in game, the book first reader hears a thesis defense. Souls are trapped, remnant conducts, agony clings, fire releases. I designed this place to do all four things on purpose. The books taught you the vocabulary, the game delivers the ritual. Before we move on, mini profiles of bookborn mechanics as if they were animatronics entering the room. Remnant appearance. Fine, almost alchemical residue, glassy and inert until heated. Role, life-anchoring medium. Threat, lets bad faith persist. Agony, appearance. Invisible, but heavy. Felt as dread, seen as patterns of haunting. Role, weaponized suffering. Threat bonds to things, outlives logic. Illusion discs, appearance. Small and banal, a coin-thin device. Role, perception control. Threat, turns predators into plushies until too late. Corporate systems, appearance. Clean and compliant, policies and NDAs. Role, keep the lights on. Threat, keep the doors open. So what does this all mean for the only correct way to explain the FNAF lore? The likeliest take is this: the books are the rule book, the games are the case studies. The games are deliberately elliptical, mini-games out of order, secret screens, DLC retcons, because fear loves uncertainty. The books, meanwhile, are pedagogical. They stop and define things, run variations, and then escalate. If you start with the games, you spend hours arguing over sprite colors. If you start with the books, you walk in with an index of mechanics, motives, and limits, and the sprites sort themselves. Why does this work? 3 reasons. Authorial safeguard. The franchise can change direction mid-series series. The books preserve the intended physics even if a game patch shifts details. Signal to noise. Games must be beatable and made arcadeable, which means red herrings and UI time pressure. Books isolate signals without gameplay noise. Continuity bridges. Anthologies let the series test ideas, AI mimicry, AR illusions, agony objects, outside the pressure of a single canon timeline, then carry them back when they're ready. Now, an alternative reading, and because we're fair here, some fans argue the games are the primary canon and the books are inspired by or parallel. That view says, use the books for vibes and possibilities, not for rules. It's a reasonable stance, especially when a story element in print seems to contradict a game scene. Our counter is that contradictions melt when you treat the books as system texts. They don't tell you which kid is in which suit every time, but they tell you how a kid could be in a suit at all. Let's separate confirmed versus as inferred in the book. First method, confirmed in print, Remnant and Agony as operative forces, Illusion Tech as an in-universe explanation for cute, hostile dissonance, Afton as a method-obsessed killer, Henry as repentant builder, repeated emphasis on heat as a release, strongly echoed in games, Afton's persistence, Henry's burn plan, kids' souls requiring ritual acts, mini-games, freeing, corporate reopening despite catastrophe, underground labs that do exactly what the book labs describe, inferred, specific cross-identity mappings, which named short story AI equals which in-game entity, exact timelines across branches. The franchise keeps it fuzzy, but the mechanics line up with eerie consistency. Before we close, a quick walkthrough tip if you're explaining FNAF to someone new or arguing with your friend at 3 a.m. Start with Silver Eyes for roles and motives. Add Twisted Illusion to explain why Toy Cute can be lethal without retconning physics. Layer in Frights to show how suffering sticks to objects and people outside the restaurant. Use Tales to read security breach era corporate structures as intentional testbeds. Then rewatch Pizzeria Simulator's ending. It will feel like a lab report being submitted to the fire. And that's the sinister beauty of doing it this way. The books don't replace the games, they demask them. The pizzerias stop being random nightmare boxes and start reading like designed devices running on grief-powered electricity. The jump scares don't get weaker, they get heavier, because now you know the rules that made them inevitable. Alright, that's our case for the only correct way to explain the FNAF lore. Start with the books, treat them as the operating manual, and let the games be the haunted demonstrations. If you enjoyed this breakdown, remember to leave a like, comment down below with what you want to see next, and of course subscribe to Horror Lorekeeper for more FNAF and horror content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.